4 more minutes. We're truncating it slightly. Come on up. Plug in. This is Ian. Did you want to introduce Ian, David, or just let him go? Ian is the winner that David Fisher mentioned of the Startup Weekend in New York blockchain Palooza event or hackathon or competition. Say what? New York Startup Weekend for blockchain. Thank you. He's going to show a very rapid hack, not 2 weeks, and something that's fairly filled out and can sketch the workflow, but actually something that was like 2 days, right, or less, with a partner who I assume you didn't know before, which is typical at these types of innovation events. And they got together and they used some tools and they created a prototype. So this is in the form of a pitch to a potential investor like Shark Tank. Take it away, Ian. What? Great.
Yeah, thanks, Daza. So essentially, this demo won't be as technical as Christian's, but it'll go through more of the process of how we kind of came about this problem, how we decided to validate and attack the different issues with the healthcare industry. So I'm Ian Lim, and I'm from BlocVac. So first, I'd just like to tell you guys a little story about an 18-month-old infant named Emma. She is recently moved to Florida with her family. However, her mother actually lost all of her paper records of her vaccinations that she's had up to this point. So Emma now has to go through an entire process of revaccinating for every single vaccination she's had. So for parents, finding immunization records is a pain, right? Hospitals aren't actually required to keep your records forever. And really that timetable, it varies between every hospital. So parents must check the immunization registry, their hospitals or their schools, wherever they can actually find a record. And then they must store it manually, either with a paper copy or through IIS, which is basically the government's central database for storing vaccination records. So for parents, it's just a big pain, and you can go to that link and it'll show all the different troubles that parents have with storing these vaccination records. So this is actually a quote from the CDC, which is the government organization that helps facilitate. And so actually, if you can't prove that you've had a certain vaccination, then your child must be revaccinated just to ensure that you're immune to that disease. So Emma was actually vaccinated over 100 times because a normal 18-month-old infant will take over 57 vaccinations before she even reaches 18 months. So our solution is to still leave the medical records with the hospitals, so no personal data will be on the blockchain. The blockchain will have a distributed ledger that contains all of the vaccination records transactions. So no personal data will actually be on the blockchain. It'll just stay with the hospitals, and then parents can now easily transfer their transaction records between different parties. So here's our demo. All right, so let's say I want to transfer my own vaccination transactions. Go this whole process. This is the public Integra ID that will be shared between each authorized party that I give permission to. So here I can select the party that I want to send the transaction record to. I'm gonna, sure, yeah. I'll send it to MIT, yeah. And then, yeah, the next slide will be kind of confusing because it looks junior high. But essentially, that's it. And then once that happens, the transaction records will be sent over to the authorized party.
That's awesome. Did you see that? That's great. That's really great. What would you like us to?
Well, actually, let me make it easy on you. I think one of the things we can glean from this is exactly as David Fisher said, yes, we can too do this. We can use technology, we can use blockchains, we can use emerging technologies to rough out and rapid prototype a hypothesis, a business hypothesis in this case, that perhaps we could save the misery and we could increase the efficiencies, get better health outcomes. So we can rapid hack. We have to go immediately, unfortunately, to like the sessions, but first this quick word from David Fisher. Okay, you're up.
Yeah. So the reason we wanted Ian here amazing job. I mean, he just brought down the house in New York, and you can see how amazing that presentation was in just a few minutes. So he did it. He built an actual application on a blockchain. The issue is not the technology. Like, all attorneys, law firms, companies can build stuff. If he can fly from Minneapolis to New York and build it in 2 days, I mean, imagine what we can do as an industry. That's point number one. Point number two, and that's why it's relevant for Ian to be here, is it'll be the laws, the legal context in which this application lives, that will be the challenge. So healthcare law, privacy law, those are the things that will stop something that's so simple and obvious, right? That it could be built in a weekend and potentially prevent that infant from being double vaccinated, right? Like an obvious thing, like Ian built it in a weekend. As the legal industry, in this use case and so many more, I think we have a job beyond the technology to figure out how to take these innovations, like weave it into a legal context and bring it to the world. I think that's what MIT is about. It's building stuff, moonshots. I mean, the technology is there, the capability is there. And so we have to just take action both technologically and legally, to make these things possible.
Here, here. Do what David said. So thank you, and thanks for showing us that. Okay. All right, everybody. So here's what's happening next. Oh, I'm sorry. Everybody applaud one more time. Right? 16 years old, right? 16 years old. Really good. So